Hi, and welcome back to the DPAF. And I wanted to do a podcast today on the upcoming Ryan Giggs assault trial, where the charges were announced today, and that he's going to be appearing in front of the Magistrates Court in Manchester in about a week. He says he's going to plead not guilty, and I'm pretty sure this case is going to be going to the Crown Court, so he can get a jury trial. And the reason I say that is that there's a additional charge to the assault charge he's got against his girlfriend Kate, aggravated assault, and then this ambiguous charge of controlling and coercive behaviour. There's also another charge against another woman that was present, which is common assault, which is probably the least serious of the three of them. And so I wanted to preview the court case a little bit. I certainly don't want to influence the case in any way. All I'm doing is talking about it from a legal strategy point of view. I think it's quite interesting because, like all these cases, the Crown prosecution add in these ambiguous charges for a few reasons that I want to talk about, and it kind of gets my antenna up when they add them in, because it's a sign to me of a weaker case, even though it gives the impression to the independent observer of being a stronger case because there's more charges. So first of all, this incident involving Ryan Giggs, the football player, is something that occurred last November, I think. From what I understand, there was Kate and her friend. They were in the kitchen of his house, and he came in and, as the story goes, he assaulted them. I think there was some stories that there was, an altercation or an argument or a dispute or whatever. Anyway, as the story goes, he assaulted the women. And the police came, and he was arrested, and he interviewed with the police, and here we are in the month of April 2021, and he's being charged. And something I know about Ryan Giggs, having followed his football career for many years, is that he is an absolute expert in handling high pressure or high provocation situations. I mean, his whole elite sporting career was spent with provocative moments, whether it be from fans in the stadium, from opposition players, or even his own teammates and manager, provoking him. And he is expert at staying sort of calm under pressure, blocking out distractions, and focusing on what he's trying to focus on, which in a footballing sense is doing the right thing on the football field. And so I think it is very unlikely in this case that there was some sort of minor provocation that caused him to assault the women. I think that's the least likely situation that would have occurred. I think a more likely situation is one of the two extremes around that. Either there was intense provocation, maybe he was being attacked and he's acting in self-defense, or there was no provocation and either he's not assaulted the women or he's just, assaulted them with no provocation for no reason or for reasons unknown, which will become clear in the trial. Another thing I know about Ryan Giggs is that, to my knowledge, he has no criminal record. He also was not someone that was in trouble in his footballing career. I don't think he ever got sent off, or certainly never got sent off that I can think of at this moment. He's rarely in trouble with referees and not a violent player. Not that that's necessarily relevant. But what we're going to do is find out in the court case, what actually happened. And I think the way these trials should be set up, which they're not, but they should be, is just simply, did he assault the woman or the women? Yes or no, beyond a reasonable doubt. And that's the basis for guilt or innocence. And I'm assuming that the Crown prosecution do not believe that the evidence is strong enough on that basis for guilt or for guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. So that's why they're adding in this charge of controlling and coercive behaviour. And I want to point out like sexual cases, like the one that happened to me, and like what happened to a lot of people, the Crown prosecution add the sexual touching sort of charge, which is really ambiguous. So it gives the jury the impression of there's no smoke without fire. I mean, it's like, yeah, there's assault, maybe it happened, maybe it didn't happen, it's he said, she said, but because there's additional charge, there's no smoke without fire. So the jury say, well, we'll just split the difference. We'll split the difference on the lesser charge, and everyone goes home happy apart from the defendant. And of course, these extra charges are always female friendly and male unfriendly. When the women grab the dream boy at the bachelorette party, that's not sexual touching. No one's saying that's sexual touching. But when the awkward teenager like Jamie Griffiths touches the girl on her hip in the park, that's sexual touching, So that's the difference. And it's the same with this controlling and coercive behaviour. No one's saying Meghan Markle, taking Prince Harry to Los Angeles via Canada and then going on Oprah to call his family racist is controlling and coercive behaviour. No one's going to be charging her for that. But Ryan Giggs and Kate, that's controlling and coercive behaviour. No one really knows what it means, but whatever it means is what's going to be talked about in the courtroom. And whether the jury reject it or believe it, it's going to strengthen the lesser charge against Ryan Giggs. And the way this trial is going to go, the prediction I want to make on this is that I do think it's unlikely that Ryan Giggs will go to prison, whether he is found guilty or not. I think self-defense is is probably the most likely sequence of events based on what I know about it, which isn't really anything I haven't read in the newspaper. And Ryan Giggs will obviously make that defense. I mean, he wouldn't be pleading not guilty for no reason, and I think that he will say, he maybe assaulted the women, but as it was self-defense, it wasn't a criminal act in his view, and be up to the jury to determine whether they believe that or not. But of course, the Crown Prosecution Service is not gonna sort of let that be the last word. They are going to present Ryan Giggs as a not nice guy. One thing everyone knows about Ryan Giggs, as well as his football career, is that, romantic fidelity is not exactly top of his priority list. He's divorced from his wife. He had lots of extramarital relations, including with his brother's wife, including with Imogen Thomas, the beauty queen from Wales. And it seems from what I've heard about this case that, Kate thought he was having, relations with other women, talking to other women, and that's why she, had this dispute and this argument and this altercation with Ryan Giggs on the evening back in November. And what is definitely not going to be part of this case is any culpability on Kate's part in choosing to have a romantic relationship with Ryan Giggs, despite the knowledge of his lack of romantic fidelity, his sort of lack of a monogamous relations with women in general. I mean, he has a checkered past with women, and Kate knew all this when she got involved with him, but she still got involved with him anyway, and it hasn't worked out for her. But no one's going to be sort of saying, look, maybe you shouldn't have dated this guy, or maybe, what do you expect when you date this guy? It's not going to work out. No one's going to be saying that in the court case. But what they are going to be talking about is Ryan Giggs' history with other women, which is almost certainly unrelated to this case. Giggs is not the kind of guy you want to take home to your daughter. Giggs is not the kind of guy that has any respect for women. So because of that, he's a criminal in this case, which I totally dispute, because it's an outcome based on sort of general emotion. Whether someone's a nice guy or not a nice guy is unrelated to whether they're a criminal. It's unrelated to the evidence, but this is the way the Crown Prosecution Service operates. They operate on an emotional basis. They operate with total deference to female complainants. Kate will be there in the trial, behind the curtain. She'll have the hair tied back. She'll be crying on cue. The prosecution will be cross-examining Giggs, asking about his general attitude to women, why he's having affairs with women or other women, why he's not, trying to marry Kate or propose to Kate. And of course, all this stuff is kind of unrelated to whether he is a criminal or not, whether he assaulted the women or not. And of course, that's how the case is going to go. Now, I think Giggs has got a good chance of winning, or at least forcing a hung jury, if self-defense is the truth of what happened, if he presents it as the truth of what happened. I don't know whether that's the truth or not. Maybe he ended his football playing career and he's decided to become a criminal. I mean, it's not something I know, but it does seem unlikely when someone gets to sort of 45 years old, they turn to crime when they have not been involved in crime in the past, but it's not impossible. However, if he is convicted, if the jury decide, this isn't the kind of guy that any woman should be romantically involved with, so instead of blaming Kate, we'll blame Ryan Giggs and we'll give him some sort of conviction, whether it's all 3 counts or most likely one of the lesser ones, I don't know. And then it'll be up to the judge to decide on the sentencing. And he'll be under pressure because it's a high-profile case to kind of throw the book at Ryan Giggs. But of course, on the other hand, there'll be people like Alex Ferguson coming out with character references, a lot of famous people, character references saying, Ryan Giggs, good guy, reliable guy, someone that cares about his kids, someone who cares about the community, someone that cares about, grassroots sport and, gives to businesses and charities and employs people in the city of Manchester and all this sort of stuff. So, interesting case because it's high profile, sign of the times because of the sort of advancement of the feminist agenda and the sort of the total corruption of the criminal justice system, going from an equal justice system where justice is blind to an unequal justice system where, justice is meted out on men in cases where it would not be meted out on women if they were accused of the same offence. So, plenty to watch out for. I'll bring you an update at the end of the trial, but I just wanted to mention this because it has the sort of ambiguous extra charge in it that you probably wouldn't see if it was an open and shut assault outcome. So if you like this podcast, please subscribe to the channel and we'll talk to you soon.